So this is AGNR 131 Lab 7, and this is the final week, or the closeout for that Lab 7 exercise. So over here you can see that we've got our three different vegetables, or our three different plants. We've got the lima bush bean, we've got beets, and then we've got cotton over here. And if you remember, the beans in general, and this lima bean perhaps as well, I was going to say specifically, but as well, they tend to have a lower tolerance to salinity. The beets over here, all beets tend to have more of a medium tolerance to varying salinity levels, and cotton then has the highest. So after running this thing for a couple weeks, if you remember, what we were doing was we were trying to measure the germination and to see if at different levels of salinity, everything else being the same, we gave these plants everything that they needed, but except we changed the salinity level. So we have a control that doesn't have any salinity. Then we had 1, 2, 3, and 4 different levels of salinity, if you will. So each one was greater, significantly greater than the other one. So let's look at our bush beans here first of all, and let's just have a look and see what happened. Over here you can see the control. We've only got one plant in the control. I don't know what happened there. This guy came up and didn't make it, but the one plant that we do have looks pretty healthy. Over here on the lowest salinity, we have nothing that came up in that, but we have 2 healthy looking plants came up in that one, and I can't see another one coming up. The second level of salinity, you can see the plants they don't look too bad. This one's actually died. There's actually only one in there. And these both have come up, but yet they look a little bit less vigorous than the control and the other ones. Maybe about the same as the control. When we get to the third level, here's where we see some issues. You can see there's some burning going on. This particularly didn't even come out. This one barely germinated, and that's it. We've also had some sinking of the pots. That'll be that could have some effect on it. We have to be honest that we may have just we should have had the environments the same, and we didn't. This one here looks like it's tried to germinate, and this one did germinate, but not a whole lot of success. They don't look nearly as good. And then we've got nothing on the highest levels of salinity. That's kind of what we would expect. So somewhere between 3 and 4, pretty much that was too much salinity for beans. Let's go ahead and move down to the beets and kind of look at the same thing. We've got our 2 controls here. Again, we don't have a lot of germination, only one in that, but it looks pretty healthy. Remember, this is a medium salinity. Here we have the 0.1 level, and not too bad. We've got 6, looks like 6 in one and 3 in the other, and they look all right. The same with the second level of salinity. They got 3 in one. One of them's fallen over, but again, you wouldn't know that they were suffering. Now we get to the 3 much smaller plants. The plants just are not, they're there, but they're not as vigorous. The growth is quite a bit less. And then again, just like with the beans, we're not really having anything coming up. Nothing's even germinated in that highest level of salinity. Okay, so coming to the high salinity to the cotton, kind of like the first one, we've got nothing in one. I'm not sure why, but the other control looks pretty darn good. As a matter of fact, it's the tallest plant of all of them. If I take the 0.1s, I got 1 plant, but it looks really healthy, and the other one I've got 2, and they both look pretty good. Coming to 2, I've got 1 decent looking plant and 1 stunted plant, and then the other one I've got nothing. So this is for a high salinity, but apparently this cotton wasn't happy because I've got nothing in 3 and I've got nothing in 4. So for a plant that was supposed to be high salinity, it could have been that the variety that we got, because we didn't look for a high salinity cotton, we just looked for cotton, and knowing that cotton in general is more tolerant to varying levels or higher levels of salinity. But it's also possible that there's varieties within the different kinds of cotton, and it could have been just whatever we got just really wasn't tolerant to salinity. And that could be the case with some of the other ones as well. Beets, as I said, in general have a medium tolerance to higher salinity levels, and beans generally have a very low tolerance. But even within the different bean bean varieties, there's going to be some differences. So I say that because when I give you your write-up and I ask you questions, I want you to be able to think about why we're seeing some of the differences and be able to say, well, maybe some of it has to do with what kind of variety we're using. So that's it for that experiment. And the next thing you'll get will be your data for it and your questions for it, and we're good to go.